Good afternoon, this is Paul the Clam Guy. Today we're going to be making clams and spaghetti, otherwise known as linguine and clam sauce or white clam sauce. First off, you start with some clams. There's a couple varieties of clams you can use. These are little necks or quahogs. You have to open them yourself unless you get them pre-opened, or you can get chopped sea clams which come already opened and chopped from your fish market. Now I'm going to give you a quick demonstration on how to open a clam. Now you might not be able to see this, but when you look at a clam, there's a fat end and a skinny end where you can put your knife. At the fat end, you hold the knife, the clam in your hand, and you press lightly on the clam with the knife, and the shell broke. And then there's a muscle on either side, and you have to cut the muscle, discard the shell, open the clam, cut the clam out, and then just put it right in. I prefer to chop the larger clams. The smaller ones you can cook whole without even taking them out of the shell. Sometimes there's a little bit of mud inside, which can be a problem for some people. But if you open them, you can just rinse out that little speck of mud in there. And you open up the clam again, and you just carve it out like that, and you're all set. Now what I do is just chop the clams roughly. You don't want them too small or too little. Some people put them in a food processor, but I find that turns them to mush and they're just too much. I have chopped some others here previously, and we'll just put those in the recipe. Now what I have here is probably a pint of clams to use with this juice. You save all the juice, and what I do is I take a pan, a saute pan. This is a large flat bottom wok. I'll put in maybe a quarter cup of olive oil just to get the bottom going. Now what I've chopped here is some parsley and some garlic. This is about 3 or 4 heads of garlic or cloves of garlic. And what I do is saute the garlic just a little bit to get it started. And let that saute maybe 2 or 3 minutes to release its pungent aroma. Now some people at this point will add either oregano, tarragon, herbs de Provence. I have a seafood medley mix which I don't have to use, it's all optional, and I just put a little bit in to give it a little added depth and flavor. Now I let that cook for a couple minutes on medium-high, but be careful not to let the garlic burn because it gets bitter. So I add the clams, and I'll let that come to a simmer. Leave it on medium-high. You don't want it to come to a rapid boil, but just gently simmer until the clams are cooked. Usually it takes about 3 to 4 minutes, and at the same time you have your pasta cooking, and hopefully they'll be cooked and ready at exactly the same time. Also, you want to add maybe an 1/8 of a cup of white wine, some ground black pepper, and then I add the parsley, and now we wait until it cooks. As you can see, it is just simmering lightly, and just keep it stirring a little bit because you don't want to overcook it or the clams will get tough. So just as it's all coming together, you can turn it off and pour it over the pasta. All right, now we'll drain the pasta, which is cooked perfectly al dente, of course. We drain it, put it on the plate, pour the sauce over the top, and then we top with some fresh grated Pecorino Romano cheese, if that's your choice. Some purists say no cheese. I say go for it. And there you have clams and linguine.